He's like, yes, it is.
One, two, 1, 2.
This is the diss of reason, an exploration into why you and your girl just can't relate. The world is tuned in to the voice of reason, blowing up the foxhole every Thursday evening. If your man is tripping, then talk to Zoe before you leave. Maybe y'all can make it work, and if not,
No, we
he
don't.
can tell you exactly how to tell him to kick rocks. Intelligence with lots of comedy. It's not your average show. It's Zoe Williams, the voice of reason on Foxhole Radio.
How do you spell kennel? Like a dog kennel. E-L. Got it. We're going to go live when you ready. We're going to go live when you ready. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm ready. It's 11 o'clock. Ladies and gentlemen, the Zoe What Morning Show back in the building. Yay! The building. Hey, man, I was struggling on the spelling bee side of the game. I was trying to get kennel spelled properly. We got crazy topics for our current event show. You already know we about to go ham and eggs. Who ordered turkey bacon?
Turkey bacon.
We about to get bit. Hey, Dr. G, you can't sit way over there. Guess who's back in the building? You got to come closer to us so we could get you in the camera.
This is White Flight.
Oh, jokey Joker. Ladies and gentlemen, the Zoe What Morning Show back in the building. Listen, you already know how we do. We gotta get current events in here. But before we do that, you already know. The community empowerment. Oh my God, we gotta promote black-owned businesses. Let me just put what? That's the Predator watch.
That's what I said.
Look at this watch. Put that watch in the camera.
That's exactly the Predator watch.
That's the. Go ahead.
Blow up everything.
This is the watch from Escape from New York, by the way.
Okay, nobody can see it. It's fine. It's fine. Ladies and gentlemen, Zoe Williams in the building. You already know what we're about to do here on Dash Talk. We're about to chop it up on all of the latest current events in the game. But again, before we do that, Zoe has got to cover current events. Well, community empowerment. So really quickly, Hassan is in the building.
Yes, sir.
Hassan, what's up with you, man? What you got to bring to the table for community empowerment?
So always we have the juices. 10% off when you apply the code ZOWHAT. So we have the weight loss program right now that's really kicking off. Summertime, you need to get that summer body together. So the weight loss program is always good.
No,
and
wait a
the
minute.
shots.
Holla at me real quick about the weight loss. 'Cause
Weight loss.
I'm a little fat around the gills. Tell me what kind of juice comes in the weight loss package.
Well, you have a combination of recovery juices, immunity juices, detox, and we have fruit-based juices that come with each one.
So tell me about the detox juice. What's in there?
So you got a different detox. We got right here. So we got a one that parsley, pear, cucumber, spinach. That's a green glow.
Is it sweet?
Yeah, it's sweet. It's a balance. The detox
I was gonna
drinks
say the
have
shit for
balance.
me. It's got to taste like Kool-Aid, but it's got to be good for me.
That tastes better than Kool-Aid, especially the mango one you got right there.
Purple,
But
I know the mango one is good, but this green one, greens
the
usually
green
be
one.
tasting like vegetables.
that's my favorite green juice because it's a juice that anybody who hasn't juiced before can have that one because it has a pear which sweetens it up in the cucumber. So you
Okay.
have two fruits in there and two vegetables, but the vegetables aren't parsley and spinach. They
Okay.
don't really taste that,
You don't really get that, so the
don't
pear
really-
sweetens it up.
Pear and the cucumber sweetens it up, so it's more
I don't know if
refreshing.
cucumbers are sweet.
It's a fruit. You do know that, right?
Is a cucumber is a fruit,
Anything that has season is considered a fruit.
but that don't mean it's always sweet.
No.
A tomato is a fruit,
True.
and that shit ain't sweet. I'm sorry.
But it ain't sour either, though.
Trying to bamboozle me on the. See, I'm gonna drink it anyway. I'm gonna
No,
drink it.
that juice is good, though. But the way most people that do the weight loss program, they lose 5 pounds within like 5 days.
Well, I
4
need
days.
that. I need that because again,
Because all you have is 4 juices and a meal with that. That's all you have is juices with a meal.
that's it.
That's it. You have 4 juices. You have 1 meal the other day and drink water and stuff.
Well,
Most
really
people lose
quickly,
weight.
what kind of meal should we have?
Yeah, can it be a buffet?
You know it can't be. It can't be a buffet. If you're trying to get in shape, you have to have a sensible meal like some proteins, 2 vegetables.
Can it be a ball of mozzarella?
It's possible. It's possible. But you see, the thing is, you want to have that meal at lunchtime. You know,
Okay.
have the juices first, then have that meal at lunch, and then have the juices afterwards.
And then you're good for the day.
Then you're good because you have your major meal at lunch, so you have all that energy.
Okay.
You know?
Don't eat anything with a lot of fat because if you do, your body will store that fat
Yes.
Really?
because
Yeah.
you're not eating, so your body will think you're starving. and
First off, let me
hold on to the
explain
fat.
something to you, healthy cats. Fat is delicious.
Fat is awesome, nigga.
I'm just saying, if juice came, like if fruit came with fat, just think if there were fat fruits.
Well, bananas is a fat
Sugar, yeah.
Banana is a
Banana,
fat
yeah.
fruit. You
I
know,
love it.
avocado is a fat. Coconut's a fat fruit.
Well, I love those fruits.
Well, a coconut's actually a nut, though. But
Okay, and now we're getting weird.
right.
Okay, so wejuice.com.
Anytime you want, wejuice.com. Zowhat. Apply the code Zowhat. Every time you come, you get 10% off.
There it is. There it is. Now, on to my next product. Listen, I don't know how I made it here today because I had to get up real early to get my son to this university for him to go work out and train. I was tired. You in the dig? I took one of these. Total Package Energy, man. Total Package Energy. I always set a tone, man. We got to get 60 cases of this moved today. It's more than 60 people in our chat room right now. The chat room is ballooning. It's growing. People are coming in. Welcome, welcome. When you hear me say chat room radio listeners, what I'm talking about is the live feed inside the studio directly to our YouTube page, which has over 35,000 subscribers, nearly 6 million views. Come on, man. We're out here doing it big time. You under dig? So
Total package.
So I'm just saying, when you hear me radio listeners say chat room, YouTube, it's because we're talking to a captive audience. They're there. Total Package Energy. If you're an Uber driver, if you're a Lyft driver,
Right.
if you're a truck driver across the country, I swear to God, this is better than Red Bull. This is better than 5 Hour Energy. There's no crashes, no jitters, 0 carbs,
No joke, man.
0 sugar. You guys tried this stuff before, right? You guys are personal certified trainers, man.
Dude, my classes be lasting 5 hours on that shit. I need to stop taking it.
You should stop taking it, huh? So I take it you don't want a bottle today.
I didn't say that. I said I should.
Hey, so we good. We good.
said
You
I
done-
should stop
You
taking it.
done already denounced your bottle.
We ain't denounced nothing. Not a damn thing.
Nah, so the Total Package Energy is a real product, real good product, black owned, out of the Bay Area. Please continue to support that. Also, I mailed out all of the copies that were ordered last week of Love Matters Revealed, a CD that was done by myself and Dr. Alan Berger. Incredible lecture. I don't know if you heard it yet, Doc. This CD, me and Alan, we killed the game, man. Love Matters Revealed. If you want your copy, all you have to do is go to my website, IamZoeWilliams.com. Order it today. I'll mail it out tomorrow. Also, The Relationship Dismount, How to Stick the Landing When Exiting a Toxic Relationship, is now in paperback form on Amazon.com. If we wanted to, trend? Doc knows this stuff really good. Like, if you sell a lot of books, Amazon kind of puts you in a different category, or there's a different algorithm or something weird if you start selling books. I'm talking about in terms of their marketing and promotion wing. Does that happen?
Yeah, the more you sell for them, the more they'll sell for you. So you got to support Zoe. You support all his products, all his books. Anything you can find, look up Zoe Williams on Amazon and just support everything you see there.
How about it?
Got to boost the game as far as the algorithm.
So in a way, me and Amazon are in business together.
You get them paid, they get you paid.
So obviously, I haven't been getting them paid. I haven't sent them any money.
Nothing.
Dr. Mark Goulston has rejoined the fray for today. Doc, you brought your book. One of my favorite works, man. Tell them about it, Doc.
Can you see that book?
Yeah, they can see it. Hold it up again. We can see it.
Yeah, but I can't do that and do this freaking selfie at the same time. How do these things work?
There it is. Just listen. This Jeff Brown claims to read this and love it.
But he doesn't follow it.
But he doesn't follow it at all. I mean, Jeff just doesn't listen. Great book, Dr. Mark Goulston. This is one of my favorites, but I think Get Out of Your Own Way. Mm-hmm. That one right there.
Yeah, it just came out in a new cover, I think today.
Did it?
Yeah, so if you go to Amazon, Get Out of Your Own Way, it sold 200,000 copies, so they put up a new cover.
Wow.
And, you know, that goes to prisons and jails. In fact, they'll honor it. If you start buying it, if you buy something, a copy will go into a jail or prison or a foundation helping. Because I have a Prison Letters podcast, which runs every week.
Yeah.
And I read letters from inmates, and I drill into their mind, and they're reaching out for help.
Wow.
And I'll also reach out to people who have left prison, and they tell their story. There's a fellow named Pastor Jonathan. I met him here.
You forgot?
He's at Martin House.
I mean, I know you're 80, so it's fine.
It's okay.
You can forget.
I know. But here's the news. Here's the news. So Prison Letters is transitioning in the next couple of weeks. I'm going to be reading Suicide Notes.
Wow.
So it's going to be called the Suicide Notes podcast, where I drill into the minds of people, and they were reaching out for help, and no one reached back. So I'm going to try and drill into that and read notes from history too. There's all kinds of notes from famous sports figures, and so that'll be going up in a couple weeks. But you can go to Prison Letters podcast, and I'm on my 45th episode.
Wow.
So that's going cool.
Dr. G, man. Dr. G is back in the building after all of that. He back in the building. Go support everything Dr. Mark Goulston. We appreciate having you, big bro. And then Kev.
Yo.
I know you got something to promote.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to explain this like I wanted to last week. But
well, you got 2 minutes.
Still, a lot of you guys bought the book. Good looking out on that. Because you have to have this book. It's the Great Book of Melanin Research. And what this is since 1904, they've been compiling everything that your melanin can do since 1904. Basically, it has superpowers. The best way to explain it is The Greatest American Hero. If you guys never seen that TV show, it was a guy, The Greatest American Hero. You know what that is. You've seen that show. A guy basically.
Believe it or not,
yeah, baby.
I'm walking on
you
air.
know what's up.
Oh, yeah.
So basically, some aliens came down and gave this guy a super suit. And then he tripped and dropped the box, and the instructions fell out.
So this is a metaphor.
That's a metaphor.
Okay,
so
cool.
basically, this is you. Your melanin, you don't have the instruction kit to your super suit. They do. They've been compiling this information for the last 118 years.
Why couldn't you just say it was vibranium so we could stay?
It's like that though, because you don't know, you lost the instructions. That was the perfect metaphor. So
Okay,
go get the book. Everybody, if you call yourself black and blackity black and I'm blacker than black and all this and that bullshit, and you don't know what that shit means, you're talking about your melanin, but you don't know how to use your melanin, you're full of shit. So
You call yourself black and blackity blackity black.
That's right. Go to the Real Nagas YouTube channel and click on the melanin book and get this book. I have it in digital copy and hard copy. The book is like over 1,000 pages. So if you want the digital copy, I'll send that to you. It's $49. If you want digital and the hard book, that's $199. I'll send that to you too. Got to get this book.
Cool. Well, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. If this is your first time tuning into the So What Morning Show, what we like to do is go into current events and give our unique perspective. Now, let me just say something about our perspective. It's never 100% accurate.
Talk about yourself, nigga.
It's just us talking. I'm talking about you too, Kev. Your
nigga.
perspective
Talk
don't
about
be
yourself,
100%
nigga.
accurate.
Nigga,
Just
talk
stop
about
it.
yourself, nigga.
Just stop it.
Talk about yourself, nigga.
Okay, just
That's what I said, nigga.
just
Talk about
quit
yourself,
it.
nigga.
Just quit it.
Nigga, break my shit down, nigga.
No, but listen. I have to go to this story because it's deplorable. According to Fox 13, Memphis, a Memphis woman was arrested after video of children traveling in dog kennels goes viral.
Whoa. Damn.
Wow.
A little black kid, little black girl in a dog kennel in the trunk, like in the bill showed her traveling with 2 children in pet kennels. The children were spotted Saturday near Graceland. Police said the children were traveling in the back of a Ford Explorer. Investigators identified the woman as Lemon Cheeks Cowan, who told Fox 13 she was horrified to see the video on Facebook. Cheeks
Damn.
was arrested and charged with 2 counts. The children also told the in Memphis. Now, a lot of people get mad at us and you know, but, and this is going to sound off, but you know how I complain about the movie or about the television show Lucifer,
Right.
right?
Being canceled?
No, not being canceled. Just
for what it was.
I complain about it just off top. Like, in white world, it makes sense for a perfect stranger
To walk
who vehemently believes himself to be
devil.
the devil. It makes perfect sense for white people to walk up to other white people and go, "Hey, I'm Lucifer Morningstar, and I know shit, and and I escaped hell." And next thing you know, he's
working for the police.
he's working for the police. And it's a hit
On
fucking
murder investigations.
right. So it's like a hit fucking TV
Right.
show, and he's solving cases, and
Right.
it makes sense.
He's trying to give back.
What I find is white people accept white people. Now, if this was just flip it in dog kennels in a Ford Explorer.
And he'd be all over it like flies on shit. And I think it'd be sensationalized. It would set things back. They're pretty far back the way they are now in terms of people understanding or trying to understand each other.
Yeah. I mean,
There would have been a military and OJ response to some shit like that. They'd have
SWAT.
They'd have been ghetto birds all over.
Yeah.
And SWAT off from the
Yeah.
houses and shit with snipers and shit. That's not going down like
yeah,
that.
I just think white America is too casual about white criminality.
the privilege.
And then conversely, too hypersensitive about black criminality. This is a black and white society at the highest level. Now, Dr. G, you understand clearly what the detriment of black and white thinking is. Can you go into that a little bit?
Well, when you get into either or thinking, it becomes zero-sum game. And in the long run, in the long game, everybody loses.
Right.
And so it's a lot of prejudice is, and I said this in a show I think 2 studios ago.
2 studios ago. I love it.
Maybe 3. It might have been in that backyard we were in for a few weeks. I don't know where that one was.
We were in a backyard.
We've come a long way.
Oh,
So.
my time.
Yeah, man.
But part of what I talked about is that until people, especially white people, accept that they are projecting onto black people all these bad intentions toward them, and the reason for that is white people think, well, you know, if you treated me the way I treated you, I'd be angry.
Wow.
So I'm going to look for all the things in you that are angry. And then when I see you getting a tad frustrated, I'll say, see, I told me so. I can preemptively protect myself, so I'm going to come after you. So until white people or anyone who's racist can accept that they project all these ill intentions not in evidence,
Right.
you know, racism will unfortunately thrive. And I don't see that changing in the near future, because it's one of the ways people also maintain their frustrations in life is by being angry at others. In fact, I tweeted out something the other day that I think a lot of the meanness in the world is a lot of people are depressed, and if your choice is to direct your anger outward or at yourself and feel hopeless and powerless, and those are your 2 choices, it's easier to be mean than it is to turn inside yourself and blow yourself away, which we're going to be talking about later.
Jeez. Please.
Shit is coming to an end, though.
Hassan, I want to get your perspective on this, man. Did you see the video?
I didn't see the video, but
Look at the baby girl climbing out the damn kennel. Look at that. What in the... Look at this. The baby girl climbing out of a kennel.
Oh, hell no. She needs
Look
her
at
ass.
look, and that's a little sister, man. That's
that girl is too big for that damn
Right.
kennel anyway.
so that girl is too what? She's the right size for a seat in a car. What the fuck?
Hey,
So
Damn.
So let me just say, man, because this shit is heartbreaking. Because as a father of a daughter, right, and a motherfucker who went through the foster care system when he was young, you read the Relationship Dismount. It's all in there. It brings up another question: should white folk be able to adopt black folk? Because listen. Back in the day, the biggest fear was who's going to comb our hair.
yeah.
But now, seeing this, it raises another kind of fear, like, because you know people out there. There's what is it called? It's a type of fraud where you get the foster care, you get the foster children just for the money,
just for
just
the
for the
money.
subsidies
right.
that the government gives you,
That check.
and you're not really caring about the kid. You're not really invested in the child. You're just invested in the check that comes with the child. And in a lot of ways, you can parallel that, right, to say certain kind of schools, because schools need certain ethnicities to fill up certain seats because they get subsidized by the state.
That's right.
Especially public schools, you know, they get subsidized by the state. We need at least 300 African American asses in these seats. You get what I'm saying? And a lot of times they may have the asses, but they might not have the grades.
Right. But they get
So this is why a lot of kids get pushed into different grades, because they need a certain amount of asses in that grade's seat.
Did anyone drill down to the mother or the daughter? Was there an explanation other than the video?
I don't even know if you can
It was too
explain
hot.
this, dog. It was hot.
It was hot.
She should listen.
95
PETA
degrees.
would go off if those.
If there was a dog,
If these were dogs.
95 degrees outside, so inside the car.
Wait a
it's
minute.
hot.
Nobody really knows about this.
Oh my God. Here's the thing that hurt me. This is the thing that really hurt me about this, and then we'll move on to the next topic. The baby girl walked out of the fucking cage
Like it was normal.
like it was normal with swag.
She's like, okay, yeah, she's been conditioned.
that
she's been
hurt me.
trained. Yeah, she's been trained.
That hurt me badly. She just walked out like, doo-doo-doo, this is normal. This is my normal. This is like hopping out of the back seat of a car. That tore me up because I need help.
I mean,
now.
there's nothing you.
I need help with this, Doc. You're gonna have to drill down on my
That lady
mind
can't
right
have
now.
those kids anymore.
She can't have her own life.
Yeah, but then there'll be
Would
more,
that
there'll
be
be
fair?
more people like that do stuff like
They're
that.
gonna
I mean,
give her a chance, like they always give white people a chance when they do stuff. You know, they don't get the same harsh treatment that black people do. If that was a black person, as you already know,
Wait,
She gets
wait. So was
thrown under the jail cell.
woman black or white?
No, she's white.
White.
white with the black kids.
With black
black
kids.
kids.
Are they
in-
her kids or
No,
Foster kids.
they got to be foster.
And they got to do a better job of giving people kids and stuff. I mean, white people are always going to adopt kids, but they have to do some better investigation of how they want to treat these kids or care for them.
I don't really think there's anything you can do unless they do some type of pre-screening where you really
You
break
have
down
to.
the consciousness and the character of the person doing the adopting. You can't really stop shit like that. I mean, it'll happen just out of nowhere.
I'm sure they do pre-screening, but it's a lot like these recruiter search companies. They're just putting butts in seats. So
Right.
they look the other way. If you get credit for, we got another foster kid, we get a way to make some more money, and so everybody looks the other way, and the person who assigns that foster kid gets to check a box and go on to the next thing, and go have themselves lunch where they're not eating, drinking, diet.
But it's
Somebody said they're-
bullshit's pre-screening though.
Yeah.
Somebody in the chat room says they're her grandchildren.
Oh,
They're her grandchildren.
Yeah.
Actually, that's real.
Somebody in the chat room says that.
So here's what this is. So look, this will be unpopular, but I'll say it anyway. So I think we can't rush to judgment sometimes about how awful things are. That little girl jumps out, and if she were to say, I'm not saying it's true, if she were to say, I asked to be put in the cage. I like to be put in the cage. I like where the little dogs are. It's kind of an adventure. I'm not saying she would say that.
Damn
but
it,
she,
Doc.
but she jumps out. So I'm just saying there's so much rush to judgment in the world.
I agree with that.
At the
I don't.
at the very
There
least,
is a lot of rush to judgment.
so
Because good parenting, Doc, come on. I can't let you do that.
grandma should know better.
Good parenting would be like, baby girl, stop tripping. You don't get to stay in the kennel. This is for animals, baby.
Yes.
Come on, Doc. There's no enabling your child enough to say, let's play You're a Puppy today.
But who else around
Nobody
her
can-
in that
come on,
environment
Doc, you
has
done fell
who else
off.
around her in that environment has seen that to make it normal for the kid?
That's crazy.
Like
So when did
somebody else have seen it and not said anything. For all that to be normal for that little kid, who else have seen that shit and and not said anything?
So when did the video go up, and was there any follow up about what else happened next?
She's in trouble. She's arrested for child endangerment. You can't.
Yeah.
Good.
That's like, let's play Frogger and hide and go seek at the same time. Sure, baby. Let's do. Wait a minute. No.
Yeah.
Come on, Doc. Jesus.
Well, I stand corrected because they checked into it, and so action was taken.
Gosh. Oh God. Okay, we got another topic. Jesus. Let's just get out of here quickly. Because Doc is fucking up early.
I'm precocious that way,
We love Dr. G, man. We missed him, man. And we glad he's back. In more news, a black woman sues Target for making her strip to prove that she didn't steal. Okay, do I need to read the whole story? Where is our world? Like,
But that's been happening for so long. That's happened to me. I've been shopping so many.
They made you strip.
Not strip, but dude, you
Kevin.
get profiled like a motherfucker though. You get profiled
was
like
Bill
a motherfucker.
Cosby there?
Stop playing. put you in the body protector, nigga. Stop playing.
Be honest, man.
dude.
They made you do what?
Dude, no, you get profiled quite a bit. They'll walk up on you, be standing there, neck behind you, fucking with shit, acting like. So, dude, that shit has been happening a long time.
So before we were getting profiled in terms of driving while black, we've been getting profiled in regular stores, just
Dude,
the
that's-
corner
dude,
store, the grocery
I
store,
get
the
profiled.
department store.
I know when I get profiled, and I'll walk up to the motherfucker and say, "Yo, you got a problem?" I've done that many times. This mother fake shopping and shit. I'll walk right up to him and say, "Yo, what's the problem, dude? Like, you looking for me?" And motherfucker just look dumbfounded, don't have nothing to say, and he'll walk out from the aisle. So, dude, to me, you check motherfuckers like that when they profiling you and shit like that. You gotta check people like that. 'Cause
Okay, but check them how?
Just like I did.
I want to
just
hear,
like I did.
because I want to hear check 101 right now. What would that look like?
Because just like I did.
Look,
If they-
so right now we're going
don't
to
just let it fly. If you think,
wait, hold on, Kev. We're going to play it out. We're going to act
Okay.
it out. You're shopping, and I'm hovering.
yes, and you're hovering.
Hovering is the term. I'm hovering nearby.
You're hovering.
And every time you look up, you see me like this. Wait, this is the hover look.
right? And that's how it goes. That's how it goes, though. That's the
right.
exact look.
So tell me, what would you say to me if you catch me? How many times do you catch me in the hover look?
If I catch you in the hover look twice, I'm walking up to you.
All right, so in the hover look, you catch me twice. Then what do you say? Go.
Then I walk up to him and I say, "Do you have a problem?" I said, Do you have a problem? Do you have a problem? And I've done this many times.
Here, it's my turn to respond.
Right.
Excuse me? What do you mean?
Why are you staring at me while I'm shopping?
I guess we were looking at the same item.
No, we weren't. You were looking at me shopping. You're not shopping. I'm shopping.
Hey,
and
listen.
You're looking at me while I'm shopping.
I don't want any trouble.
Well, great. You can move from this aisle unless you're picking up something. Get your ass from this aisle then if you don't want any trouble.
Security, we have code Silverback.
And security's all getting their ass beat. And all security's getting their ass beat.
Code Silverback.
All security's getting their ass beat.
Code Silverback.
Good.
But again, you don't have to check them in a super aggressive way. Just make sure you know that they're full of shit.
Go
You
ahead,
don't
Dr.
gotta be
G.
angry about it.
So I'm going to try a less aggressive but more potent way to stand up to that guy. So you go up to the guy because he's looking at you. And so you go up to him. You could say, I couldn't help but notice you were checking me out for something. What were you checking me out for? And then he's dumbfounded. And then you look him straight in the eye. You could say, I don't think you'd do the same thing if I was white. You might want to think about that.
Wow.
Yeah, nah.
See, Kev don't like that.
The way I did it was trust me. You should see the faces. The way I do it, when you walk up to them and literally just check, bam. When you hit them like that, trust me, the face they can't say anything. The blank look on their face is gone. Call security. Call security, though.
Code Silverback. Code Silverback.
Code Dragonmore, nigga. Code Dragonmore.
But the
That's what
whole
that is.
point of doing that is to get what outcome? For them to stop doing this or continue doing this?
There is
first-
an enormous Negro in aisle 12.
My point is because
Code
they do
Silverback.
that. They do that a lot, and most of the people don't say anything when that's happening. They just go ahead and they shop, and they know that they're getting washed, and they don't say anything.
Well, I guess
if I see that you're doing some fucked up shit, I'm gonna check you every time. That's just how I am. I don't
But
let
you
you
got
get
to
away
remember,
with shit.
but you see, and this is the other thing we have to remember too, in terms of American culture, American society. Anytime black men check other people,
Exactly.
it doesn't matter. Other people. There's a lot of people who fit in other people.
Right.
Anytime black men put their balls on the table and start checking, there's an automatic kind of reflex of, oh God, he's getting violent.
Angry, yeah.
And anytime in their mind that trigger of he's getting violent goes off, anything is on the table
See, and then
in terms of the reaction.
That's
See,
if
that-
I get loud though. If I'm very
No,
articulate,
even if you're articulate and assertive, remember, intelligence intimidates.
right.
Listen, Barack Obama wasn't loud, but he was intelligent.
Right.
And that intelligence and that articulation coupled together, a lot of middle America was intimidated. Oh, he speaks too high. He speaks over us. Oh my God, what he's talking down to. It's seen as an attack. We got to remember that.
You're right. I'm
So
just
it
saying.
don't
I'm just
matter.
speaking from that's never happened to me
I'm just saying-
when I've checked somebody like that.
I'm just saying, tone and delivery for
Right,
alpha
right.
black men
It's
don't really
all-
matter. If you come in intelligent and articulate, that in and it's, you know what I see intelligence and articulation for? I see it as here's a metaphor. I see it as a point guard who dribbles the ball while looking up. See, if a point guard is dribbling and his head is down,
You don't see what's cracking.
he don't see what's going on, and the defense doesn't have to react because he's not even looking at his options.
Right.
But to look while dribbling up, just the act of looking and keeping your head up
Keeps them alert.
is an offensive move.
Right.
Oh, he's looking. The defense is like, okay, we got to react because he's looking at somebody. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. Same in football. They'll tell quarterbacks, you can look a defender off.
Exactly.
Don't look at one receiver. Don't look your receiver down because the defense knows where you're going. The act of looking is an act of aggression. And I see that same thing in the act of speaking articulately and intelligently to motherfuckers who be on that bullshit. Because they see that as an attack. They see that as the same thing. He looking to do something. And I'm looking to respond by any means necessary.
Get your Malcolm on.
Dr. G?
Okay, but what about this? So maybe what's happening, so you go up there and you see a black person kind of looking at you and they're checking you out. You know, there's something called fearful aggression.
You mean a white person?
Oh, I like this. Go ahead, Doc.
And so what's happening is maybe on the surface, the black dude looks intimidating and hostile, but maybe what the black dude is doing is showing a fearful aggression that, okay, looks like someone's gonna be prejudiced against me. I could get in trouble, and I haven't done anything. And so sometimes when you have this fear that you're cornered, instead of cowering, you get aggressive.
Interesting. Listen, I don't know if I agree with that. I would say some people experience that, Doc, because it's almost like being conditioned to be attacked, to be profiled, to be, you get what I'm saying? So, and in that conditioning, there may very well be some old, shit, how am I going to respond to this?
Okay, so let me throw something in, because I mentioned something about we project. So white people are projecting on black people. Well, if I was treated the way I'm treating you, I know I'd be angry. So the white person is looking at the black person for any sign that you're aggressive. And so the point is, when someone is staring at you and looking for that, it's really invasive. It's invasive to your dignity and all that. And so what they're really looking for is to confirm their bias because they're denying that they have it.
Oh. Kev, please respond. I like this. This is good.
No, you're right. But again, trust me, as somebody who has done it a number of times and seen the face, dude, when all you say, when they're looking at you like that, you turn to them and you walk, do you got a problem?
But see, this is why
that breaks that whole that energy, because they don't expect you to do that.
This is why I agree with Kev, because sometimes, even though it's seen as an aggressive move,
you gotta do
listen,
it.
Kumo D said it to me in the best way one time. He said, "To dumb people, intelligence is aggression." To stupid people, racism is a byproduct of ignorance and stupidity. So stupid people have stupid beliefs, right? And they don't have the contextual understanding. They think in black and white. They're rigid in their positions. That's stupid people.
It's dumbass motherfuckers.
Right? When you talk to clinicians about relationships, clinicians will tell you the most high functioning relationships are those that have flexible beliefs. Racism is an inflexible position. We better than
you. That's just how it is.
You underdig? Even in Target. Now, I know I'm a janitor in Target, but I'm a white janitor. And I think you stealing, nigga. So again, we have to deal with the mindset. So sometimes you do have to say.
You gotta check them motherfuckers.
You do have to say, you do know you scored a 640 on your SAT. That's why you're here.
I have to agree. Okay, I'm changing my mind. I'm agreeing with Kevin, and the reason I'm agreeing with Kevin is because I think my approach, and it's sort of a white nice approach, not white knight, white nice approach is, if we can shame them, embarrass them, they'll learn. But I think his approach is you got to frighten them.
Man,
wow. You got to hit them between the eyes, because fear will teach them a lesson more than just embarrassing them. So if you go up there and go, shame on you for profiling me, they'll go, oh, sorry. But if you frighten them, they may not do it again. So delete my white bias.
Yeah,
being too nice.
Because look, again, it reminds me of the scene in Lord of the Rings.
Which one?
Gandalf the Grey is trying to explain to Bilbo Baggins that he has the ring of power and that it is evil. And you should leave the ring to Frodo.
Frodo.
Now, Bilbo Baggins, why should I give it to you? It is mine. It's my own. My precious. Right? Like, he really gets into it. He's a hobbit. Hobbits aren't aggressive, but he started acting aggressive.
Yo, he started tripping
towards
Gandalf. Yeah.
So Gandalf had to flame up on him.
Yep.
Gandalf was like, Bilbo Baggins, do not take me for a cheap conjurer of tricks.
Like, motherfucker, I will smack the shit out of you right now.
The room got dark.
Yep.
The room got dark, and Bilbo came back to wait a minute.
The real Bilbo came back in. Like,
my bad, Gandalf. Shit. Okay, I'm gonna leave the ring. God damn. Sometimes you got to Gandalf off.
You got to Gandalf off on this motherfucker.
Sometimes you got to.
Nigga, we got a problem right now? Why you up on me? Why you looking at me, nigga?
Because and Doc, you could help me with this, because America has a problem with aggression. We all do, right? It's part of the human, condition. Sometimes aggression may be a lower consciousness way of showing the magnitude of your spirit. Do you understand what I mean by that? In that scene, Gandalf's spirit got big as shit.
Got big than a motherfucker.
And it made, he said, I'm not trying to rob you.
Yeah.
I'm trying to help you.
Yes.
You get what I'm saying? But he had to show him that in order for him to stop tripping.
Right.
So do you see what I'm saying, Doctor? So in some contexts, it's not always overtly aggressive.
Right.
It's more, let me check you.
Right.
Because you're out of bounds.
I just call it confrontation. See, I don't have a problem with confrontation. Some people do. I don't have it at all. Not in the inkling. So when I'm not aggressive necessarily, I'm just very stern about what I'm saying. No, I'm not. I'm just very stern. And matter of fact, about when I approach this dude, I know that you fucking around. I know that I'm not aggressive unless they say some bullshit. But
code.
Something.
Code Silverback.
Something I used to.
Dash Radio code Silverback. Okay.
Something I used to say in other shows is that actions respond to actions. They don't respond to words.
Oh, I like this. Go deeper.
And so words sometimes respond to words, but actions respond to actions. So the key is, though, to make your action fit whatever you're responding to, because if you do overkill, then they're going to justly sort of say that was overkill, and they're going to push back or punish you. And if you do underkill, it's not effective. So I think what Kevin is doing, you got a problem with that, is perfect.
Right in the middle.
Right in the middle. But but you talked about aggression. I think actions speak louder than words. And so even if you're saying you got a problem with that, that's more of an action, but you're countering that action of that, erroneous invasion of your dignity.
Right.
So that makes sense.
Because in a lot of ways, we do it in parenting. Sometimes you got to get big on a kid for him to know, he not playing.
He real about this, huh?
Hold on. I'm out of bounds. My
bad, Daddy.
I didn't even know I was out of bounds. Good looking, Pops.
My bad.
Sometimes you got to get big, especially when they get independent. Sometimes you got to get big.
And I've seen it.
And when you get big, it kind of brings them back. Now, getting big doesn't mean getting abusive.
Right.
And sometimes there are parents who don't know the line between getting bigger and being abusive. Mm-hmm. In NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, it's called mirroring.
Right.
So you mirror the child's defiance with some of your aggression, right? With some of, and I would say aggressive authority.
Right.
Did you forget? Who are you talking to? Oh, wait a minute. Yes, my bad. you get what I'm saying? Because tone, tone sets the tone for children.
I think when you add abuse to your authority as a parent, it's one thing to punish them because you're trying to teach them a lesson. But if you add your aggression that you're taking out on them because you can't take it out on your spouse, you're going to teach them a lesson they'll never forget. And it's the wrong lesson, which is when I get to be older, I get to abuse other people.
You see, I'm an adult now.
Yep.
Yeah.
You raise.
I get to
Boy.
put the pimp hand down.
When you hear your kid say some shit like, I'm grown, you done fucked up in the raising. I'm grown now. Who you talking to, daddy? What? Who am I talking to?
Yeah, let's go out to the back real quick, little nigga.
Code Silverback. I have a wayward child. Code Silverback. Oh man, you're listening to Dash Talk. Zoe Williams, the voice of reason, and the Zoe What Morning Show. We in the building. Kevin Barringer, as well as Dr. Mark Goulston, has joined the fray. We got a couple of more topics before we get into some heavy stuff. Dr. G, are you open to doing the intellectual rant today?
Ooh.
You got 15 minutes to think about it. If not, we'll have Kevin do it. Kevin, don't be afraid to rant. You rant all the time.
I never
Every time you speak.
I'm going to pass on the rant today because I'm much more stirred up about the topic we're going to talk about. And I get some. I'm going to drill down on some stuff on
I
that.
know what the topic.
Then guess what? I'm going to do the rant.
You go ran off.
I was trying.
Ran off my nigga.
I was trying not to do it.
Ran off my nigga.
But when I start ranting, goddammit, it's about to go down in the town.
Ran off my nigga.
Zoe What Morning Show live on Dash Talk. Listen, can I speak about the new shit that's going on at Dash? I can kind of, can I? I don't know. I think we're launching some new partnership Wednesday.
Oh,
I don't know if I should talk about that. It's pretty big.
what's going down?
Just millions more. Millions more listeners. Dash Radio is about to be off the.
What's the deal?
It's about to be stupid as hell.
With the dealio?
Monstrous. Gigantic.
Enormous.
Enormous. You shall not pass.
What the deal, man?
Man, it's about to be crazy. That's all I can say.
Man, stop it. You with that bullshit.
I'm just saying, Wednesday, we are launching something new.
You with that bullshit.
And it's big. I'm just going to say millions more listeners overnight. Dash is good for the overnight millions more listeners.
You ain't gonna tell us.
Like earlier this year, they hooked up with GM.
Oh, they did?
And all GM cars. It's like 3 million, 4 million, just overnight. We're on your console in your car. Just overnight, we're right there. You can listen to this if you want. It's right here. It's just touch your touchscreen.
Big level.
So again, Wednesday is about to be crazy.
You ain't gonna say what.
I'm not gonna say, man. All I know is I had to redo some stuff. I had to redo some stuff for the channel.
Oh,
Dash Talk. Of course, I'm the VP of Talk.
So is this in GM cars? No.
Right now, there are people driving GMs, listening to the sound of my voice.
So if you're
this very moment.
so if you're part of GM, screw the Volt and the Bolt. We want you to create the Jolt, and that's going to be a Dash Jolt co-partnership. That's your next car.
Here we go. Don't ever do your own commercials, Doc. This reminds. Sidebar real quick before we get to the next.
See, you really didn't miss me, did you?
Right.
No.
Before we get to the next, current event. This reminds me. I was in a pitch meeting with Quincy Jones. And Quincy Jones is a giant, of course, in the industry. But you old when people they gotta take the meeting with you because of what you've done. But really, what you talking about? It is like, come on. Listen, man, we're going to do this television show, and we're going to do something called faux fanity. It's not real profanity, it's faux fanity. Get it? Faux fanity. Instead of motherfucker, you're going to say motherflexer. What? This is at ABC. Me, Cool Mo D.
Motherflexer.
Muddy Wucky. We're going to say Muddy Wucky instead of motherfucker.
Quincy,
And then the kids are going to
lock.
lock.
Ass down somewhere, Quincy.
Motherfuckers was in there like,
Get your old ass down, Quincy.
Dr. G had one of those moments just right now. You know, we're going to tell them to do
You had a rent moment.
the Dash Radio Jolt.
the record needle moment.
Okay. All right. So, look, I got a great topic here. Now, Donald Trump is doing some weirdness. Now, he worked with old girl, Kim Kardashian,
Get that lady out.
to get the lady out. I've already had my statements about this. I've already been a little pissed off about it because those are two reality stars coming together, right? Coming together to free black people when we already know that black people, there's an injustice as it pertains to, I was going to say slavery, but the prison system, which is slavery.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? There's an injustice there. Black people are arrested at a higher rate than anybody else, in particular, black men. Black people have been killed for civil rights, for the pursuit
Right.
of civil rights, right? They've been killed. Malcolm, Medgar, Martin,
Luther King, right.
everybody, people get killed for saying, "Oh, there's injustice." I look at the NFL. Okay, I'm kneeling, right? Yeah, yes, I'm kneeling because there's injustices. I'm not kneeling to disrespect the flag.
Even though
But
that,
I'm saying
that would be right.
this is a platform. The flag, the league, my jersey, my team is a platform, right? That will get the message out to the masses if I kneel during this time. Not much different than my guy from Florida, quarterback from Florida. What's the kid from Florida, the super Christian kid?
Am.
The super Christian kid who was kneeling during the flag.
What's his name?
During the national anthem.
Tim Tebow.
Yeah, Tim Tebow. During the national flag to protest abortion.
Right.
He did it, seen as a hero for doing it.
Right. All over the place.
All
God
over the
damn.
place. Kaepernick does it and says, hey, look at what's happening in inner city communities. When you start looking at the facts, why would a kid who bust his ass at USC, right? Bust his ass, made it to USC, won some games at USC, stand out at USC on the football field, get drafted high to Green Bay, and goes to Green Bay when most of Wisconsin are prisons. The neighborhoods are prisons filled with black men.
Yep.
So you get black men gladiator. We pay you to be
Right.
a gladiator to entertain us. And if we don't get that version of the Negro,
Slave nigga.
then slave Negro in prison. So why would you feel good about that Green Bay pick? Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is the type of reality we live in. So Donald Trump worked with a reality star to get this lady out of prison who was serving life that Barack was slap in the face for all the marching, for all the protesting, for all the demanding that's been going on, because you two can have a conversation and get some shit done damn near overnight when every few years the Voters' Right Act comes up and y'all can say, well, you know what? This year we decide you don't have the right to vote. After everything you've been through, these two can get together and go, you know, this is some bullshit. Let's get her out of jail. What do you think about that, Dr. G? And then back to Kev.
I agree.
That they can do this on a whim, you mean?
Just on a whim. You know what? I saw her picture. It was on Facebook. I called Donald's daughter. Then she hooked me up with her husband. And then I was in the Oval Office. What? No disrespect to Kim. Thank you for doing it.
Right.
But goddamn. Goddamn. Is that easy? Go ahead, Dr. G, and then Kim.
Well, it just goes back to people not ever thinking about, the outcome that they want. So people are driven by whims. We have a very whimsical president who doesn't need to think about anything. He's just going to trust his instincts, and unfortunately, he's getting away with it. I mean, in a few hours, we're going to see how his whims play out with Kim Jong-un. See if it's whim versus Kim, and
he has another reality star with him, Dennis Rodman.
Oh shit.
Oh, he's along.
Dennis is there.
He's there.
Oh shit. Oh shit. But Dennis, he went to Korea before. He knows Kim Jong Un.
Yeah, they friends.
Right. But this is the thing, man. Trump cannot, or they can't just do away with your voting rights at a whim. Trump can do what he did because in the Constitution, the power to pardon, which is one of the powers they left over from the king, the monarchy, is left in the Constitution. And Trump is doing that to say fuck you to everybody else because they're always telling him what he can't do because of the Constitution. Like, you can't do this because of the Constitution. You can't do that. The powers are separated. You can't do this. So the one thing that he can do that he doesn't have to ask any fucking permission for is pardon. So he's like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm going to pardon everybody. He got 300 pardons getting ready to jump off.
Hold on.
It's crazy.
There's a nigger in here speaking very eloquently. Code Silver Black.
Silver Black.
Code Silver Black at Dash Radio. Let's get this smart nigga out of here. But again, you make a good point. He's about to pardon Muhammad Ali.
Yeah. He's just he just pardoning motherfuckers.
but I believe this is part of the cognitive dissonance that's going on in our culture. In one breath, you're saying the white people that were protesting in Virginia, there's good people on both sides.
Yeah.
These are white supremacists. But in the next breath, we gonna pardon Muhammad Ali
and Jack Johnson.
They even saying he might pardon what's Marcus Garvey.
What?
Dude. Now, this leads to my next story.
But wait. Did you hear what Trump said about the pardons, though? What the ultimatum he gave?
But watch.
Okay.
This leads to my next story. From the Black Atlanta Star. They report Republican strategist Roger Stone urges Trump to pardon UNIA leader Marcus Garvey. This is June 10th, 2018. Roger Stone, a Republican campaign strategist, and longtime advisor to President Donald Trump, is reportedly making a push to get Marcus Garvey pardoned. Stone has encouraged Trump to consider granting clemency to the black nationalist leader who died in 1940. Why? Because it's about getting the black vote for 2020. This is how he's leveraging Kanye and Kim.
Yeah. And this is what he said, too, the other day. He was like, look, get a list of people who you want me to pardon and bring them to me.
Wow.
That's what he said. So everybody was getting on, why are you pardoning so many people? Why are you doing this? He said, look, don't ask me why I'm pardoning so many people. He said, what you want to do is he said, I'm going to challenge you. He says, whoever you want pardon, all you people who are on your activists and all, he says, get a list of people who you want me to pardon and bring it to me.
So I can look like your community's hero.
Right. Right.
But wait, here's the flip. I heard Farrakhan say some of the things that Donald Trump is doing is beneficial to the black community because, like you say, he's attacking the infrastructure, whether it be the FBI, the Department of Justice, and he was saying FBI, Department of Justice, all these motherfuckers have been on black people's head. So he's attacking them too. So he's kind of saying, you know, my enemy and your enemy, the enemy of your enemy,
the enemy of my
friend. You get what I'm saying?
Exactly.
We just living in a hell of a
time right now, man.
A hell of a polarizing time, and we have this polarizing president
put there to do it,
who in some ways seem racist in a motherfucker, and I would say he's racist.
Oh yeah,
right. I would just say that.
Oh yeah.
Would you say Donald Trump is racist, Dr. G?
Yeah, absolutely. Doesn't this go back to tokenism?
Speak on it, Doc.
Well, I mean that was a phrase that was banting around, and now it's used. Tokens are now part of Bitcoin, but the tokenism is where where you throw a crumb to some community and say,
Wow.
aren't I a good guy?
Wow.
Yeah, you should judge me by the color of my tokens.
Wow.
Trump is.
I like that.
He's racist. Like his level of racism is here, and he's classist and racist. I think his classism is just slightly above his racism, but they're both on a high scale. He cares about if you are on his status level, and that's what he cares about the most. But then, at that status level, if you're melanated, he's going to drop you one level lower than the people who are Caucasian at that status level. But right, he's trying to the whole scam of the pardon is more of a smokescreen.
Right.
Because they're literally destroying the government. So like how Trump or Farrakhan was saying that it may be good for black people. America's falling. But the reason it don't affect black people because we've always been in a fucked up place. Right. So it doesn't really matter.
How we gonna fall and we already on the ground?
Exactly. So Caucasian people are going crazy right. He's destroying the democracy. It's an existential crisis right now with the Constitution and blah. I mean, they're tripping
and the shit he
right
just
now.
did with the G7 and the tariffs.
Yeah. So they're like, look, we'll kick America out of the G7. We'll be the G6. Because he was asking to bring Russia back into the G7. Like, it should be the G8. Why did you kick Russia out? And so they was like, you know what, motherfucker? Fuck America. You can get out. We'll be the G6. And so then he was like, you know what? Fuck it. Then I'll bounce. So he left he left the meeting early to go fly and hang with these damn dictators. So this is the shit that's going on right now. All the dictators are his homies. And then all the people who are for the free world are the bullshit motherfuckers, are his enemies. That's what's going on right now. Y'all don't see that because they want you to come beg for a one world government. So they have to give you some type of tyrant first, and then you'll come in and ask for the solution.
Please save us from him.
Yep.
Dr. G, your thoughts on this before we move on to our primary topic?
What do you think it would take to believe in America again? No. I'm asking that going forward. There's all sorts of reasons to not believe in America, but what would it take? What would you listeners, what would you need to see, and what would foreign governments need to see so that they believe in America? Because right now, you are foolish if you believe in anything. And if you believe in nothing, you might be, might think, well, I'm going to outsmart everyone. But at the end of your life, if you believe in nothing, I gotta believe that it's not going to be the best life.
Wow. Let me just say this. I think we're out of the era of belief, right? Like on some real mystical, astrotheological type shit. I believe it's the time of Jesus, and Jesus' time is up.
Yep.
Right, we're in the age of Aquarius.
Yep,
I know it's the information age. Aquarius is an air sign. That's knowledge. We're in the knowledge age.
Yep.
And if you got to believe in something in order to achieve something,
Right.
and it ain't you that you believe in,
Right. You throwing all that energy out to somebody else?
nah.
It's really interesting in the business world because what's happening is you don't have to trust or believe anyone to do business with them. The whole idea is you basically say, well, I'm going to have confidence in you're going to do what you say you're going to do, and then if it doesn't work out, I'll sue you. It doesn't matter. That's what's happening with big corporations.
No doubt.
I mean, they
Contract.
they weigh the price of a big lawsuit, and I think there was a big lawsuit against LinkedIn, but only cost, I forget who was against them, a couple $100 million, and then they were sold for several billion to Google or something. So I think what's deteriorated is it doesn't matter whether I trust or believe in you. I'm just going to have confidence that you're going to do what you say you do, and if you don't, I'll just sue you. I mean, that's business.
I mean, that's the world.
Yeah, that's the time right now.
Man, that is the time. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the So What Morning Show. Again, here on Dash Talk Radio, we're sitting here covering all of these current events, and we've got to get into it. It's the top of the hour. It's 12:03. We got to cover it. I'm going to take a quick 30-second break, but when I return, we will get into today's major topic on the So What Morning Show. Stay tuned to hear what we think about Anthony Bourdain. We'll be back in 2.2. Ladies and gentlemen, the So What Morning Show back in the building. Let's get it started. We've got a great topic coming up because I think this is a misunderstood topic. You know what I mean? I think it happens and people misunderstand why it happens.
Right.
You dig? People misunderstand just what a mind is going through that would lead someone to what I would call the ultimate self-sacrifice.
The way out,
Man,
to think this is their only and last way out.
man. Listen, Black Hollywood, according to Ebony.com, remember everybody had an Ebony and a Jet in the Black household?
The Jet Beauty?
Did you have an Ebony and a Jet? You didn't have Ebony and Jet.
We did.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
You had the little Beauty of the Week, Doc. Doc is guilty of looking at the Beauty of the Week. Lord ever.
That Jet Beauty of the Week was off the chain.
That Jet Beauty of the Week. Yeah. That was lightweight porno. In a bathing suit. Ladies and gentlemen, Black Hollywood grieves Anthony Bourdain's death. Prominent black figures from the media, entertainment, and sports mourned the death of Emmy-winning chef, writer, and television personality Anthony Bourdain on Friday, June 8th. Bourdain, 61 years old, the host of CNN's Parts Unknown. Let me tell you how much I love this show.
Man, that's my shit.
I loved this show.
I loved, man,
because the way he interfaced with people from other cultures.
Yes. He really showed how those other countries were.
Without judgment.
Right.
He never was like, this is a fucked up place.
Right.
He was like, this is the nature of this place. You know, and then he'll peel back a layer and he go, this is the real place. Not what the media is saying. This is the real place.
Yep.
You know, I love the episode he did with Barack Obama.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, I think they were in Thailand or something like that. Hanoi. I love that episode. I also loved when I love the food shows that go abroad.
Right.
I love the show that he did with Andrew Zimmerman from Bizarre Foods.
Yeah.
I watched Bizarre Foods. I saw Andrew Zimmerman eat a bat.
Yeah, I saw that shit too.
Fuck it, we're gonna go in the cave, we're gonna catch some bats, we're gonna season it.
Right.
We're gonna put some chilies and some sauce on it, and next thing you know, he's crunching on a bat. Fuck it then.
Bourdain would do the cult. He went to the Bronx and did and showed how the hip hop culture, how hip hop, the birth of hip hop came.
Oh my God.
So he showed the food and all the different, that was a dope ass episode right there.
And see, that kind of shit transcends race to me.
Yeah.
Because it's knowledge. It's knowledge and it's acknowledgement.
Right.
This is a white guy. I'm gonna do an episode about hip hop. And I'm gonna get to the bottom of it. And I'm gonna have the legends on. And they're gonna talk about the inception of it. And it won't be a judgment later. So
You know he's cancer, so he was caught up in some feelings.
yeah. So the man committed an apparent suicide in France. His body is still held up in France right now. And depression, mental health, something we got to talk about. That's why Dr. Mark Goulston is in the building as a psychiatrist. Psychiatrist, right? You know, psychologist too? Just psychiatrist. Okay. The guy that gets you the medicine.
I was about to say, you can prescribe.
Doc be like, take 2 of these and call me in the morning. You gonna be all right, pimp. This gonna change your brain forever. But you gonna be all right. This is a liquid lobotomy. It's a
Lobotomy.
It's a smoothie lobotomy. Right? So
Coconut smoothie lobotomy.
Doc, talk to me, man. Like, what kind of mind just gets to the space where it says, you know what, enough's enough. I'm gonna shut it down. I'm gonna push the ultimate reset button. Talk to me about that mind, Doc.
So I have a blog out on Medium, and it's why people kill themselves, and it's not about depression, is what I said. And it's getting a lot of hits. It's up to about 130,000 views. And what I talk about is that, and it's interesting that I'm on this black radio show because I'm going to say, why is it that Hispanic and black people have a lower rate of suicide? I mean, it's increasing, but it's a lower rate. Mm-hmm. And what I wrote about is that people don't die of suicide from depression or drugs, whatever. That may kill them, but what they die of is what I call despair. And if you break the word despair into DESPAIR, it means they feel unpaired in the world. They feel unpaired with a future that's hopeless. They feel helpless to get out of what they're feeling. They feel powerless. They feel useless and worthless. Those are the killer ones for men. If you feel useless and worthless, then you may as well just off yourself if you're a guy.
Wow.
And then if you feel that life is meaningless or pointless, when all those line up, it's the opposite of hitting the jackpot. You know, and what happens is you pair with death to make the pain go away.
Wow.
And most people who die by suicide, they don't want to kill themselves. They just want the pain to go away. And here's where I'm going to go a little racial, because I think when you drill down at our core, all the way to our DNA, we are paired. And if you rip away one of the strands of DNA and think what's left of the other strand, it's going to collapse on itself. Interestingly, there is the place where single-stranded DNA live, and that's in viruses. And I think depression and suicide's going viral. And so I think what happens in the Black and Hispanic communities, a lot of those people have not moved away from their communities. You know, a lot of white communities, the kids move across country and they think they're going to find something better, but then what happens is they find out they're disconnected, and then they can't go back. And so I think sometimes when you can feel paired with your community, then you don't feel despair.
So this is big. This is big. Let's go deeper into this. So to feel despair is to be unpaired from life, yet paired to death for a lot of people.
Yeah, because death
Wow.
Death takes the pain away.
It stops it all.
It stops it all, you know, and you pair with it. And what's interesting is one of the reasons that sometimes people who have suicide on their mind feel better is because they and there's some hints, they're happily giving away their possessions. It's because they have a solution to their pain. One of the reasons now, when people have been humiliated and abused, what happens is that they take the pain away by revenge. So one of the reasons that a lot of mass shooters and school shooters just seem so, you look in their eyes, they just seem so cold and calm, it's because they've happened upon a solution to being unpaired with the world that's abused them, but what they're going to do is they're going to get even. And I was a suicide specialist for 25 years, so I've retired as a doctor, but I'm helping, because I don't want to just help one-on-one, I got to help one-to-many. And here was the deal, is almost none of them committed suicide or died by suicide, that's the correct terminology, is because when I saw them, here's how I listen to people, and I'm a medical doctor, is when I listen to people, if you can go along with me, I'd look in their eyes, and if you do this with the people in your life, if you can just do it, it is screaming out at you. I'd look in their eyes, and I'd listen into their eyes for hurt, fear, anger, pain, guilt, and shame. And sometimes when I'm with people, and we're talking about business, I can see that hidden underneath the business is sort of a sadness. And when you listen for that, and people feel you listening for that, it screams out at you. And the way I look into people's eyes, and I believe mental wounds are like physical wounds, it's like I see a little bleeder that's about to hemorrhage. And I might say to someone, you know, I'm a little distracted, but I'm picking up something that's bubbling to the surface. Can we put this business shit on hold? And is it hurt, fear, anger, pain, guilt, or shame? Which one? And they go, what? I say, no, which one? And they start to talk about it, and I keep looking in their eyes, and you'll see a shift in their eyes, because what's happening is they're starting to pair with you. And when you drill down even deeper, they start to cry with relief from being unpaired with everything. So I don't know if that makes any sense.
No.
I'm trying to go around the world teaching this. I spoke in Russia on empathy to the Russian Federation, and it went so well that there's a highlights reel. If you look up Gulstan Moscow YouTube, you'll find it. And what happened is, what I realized in retrospect is none of us are feeling talked with. We're talked over at,
And talked at.
or even at or
Yeah.
to, and we're dying from not feeling talked with. And what happens is when you talk with other people, it shifts things. I'll share something that I'm working on that's I think is fascinating. I mentor about 30 people around the world, and I'm honored that Zoe considers me one of his mentors. And
Absolutely.
there's someone that I'm mentoring who's a human rights activist. He's on the board of the Human Rights Foundation. He's living in political asylum in Vancouver, and he's great at developing businesses. And for a year, we've been doing Zoom video talks, and I can look into his eyes, and I can just see the sadness and the pain. And so I've been telling him, fuck the business. What's that all about? And I just focus on that. And he told me 3 months ago, he said, I got to tell you something. I said, what? He said, I've recovered. I said, recover from what? He said, I've had trauma my entire life, all the way back. And the fact that you always drop doing anything or building a business and you default to the pain in my eyes, you just do it, and I owe you for that. One of these days I got to make you some money because I don't charge for this sort of thing. I don't charge for my relationship with Zoe. I love Zoe. But what happens, and he says, what happened is I just leaned into it because you weren't going to do a mind of an entrepreneur. I say, can you write up what the fuck happened to you that you got over,
Wow.
that you recovered? I mean, I don't know what happened. I just kept my eye on the pain.
Right.
And, and then when the pain would lessen, we talk about other stuff. But do you follow what I'm getting at?
Wow.
And I think, and I'll tell you, there's a one-to-one correlation. I'd like you to push back on this in opiate addiction, and I think increased depression and suicide. And something that's becoming extinct is patience, tenderness, and compassion. Without patience, tenderness, and compassion, there's no room to comfort the pain in the world. You throw shit at them. And I'll finish with this, because I've been doing this with vets. And one of the vets told me, he said, you're reaching the person inside the patient. And I said, what do you mean by that? And this is a tough vet. He said, what you don't get about us guys is that we are patients carved up into billable procedures, none of which talk to each other, each of which thinks that they're the whole shooting match. And then when we get frustrated that we've been kept waiting for 6 months and they're taking text messages, what do they say? They say, oh, let's throw in anger management just to be sure. So welcome to our world, man.
Let me ask you guys this question, man. Because in America, there's been this huge fight regarding the legalization of marijuana, right? Do you think if marijuana was legalized, because right now there's a spike in depression, especially within men, depression and suicide is spiking, right? My question is, if marijuana was legalized across all 50 states, do you think the incidence of depression and then suicide would go down? Do you think marijuana would take, some of the, because when we look at, Doc, I want you to break down some of this too, the symptoms of depression. Do you think marijuana polarizes the symptoms of depression? Cures, maybe not cure, but maybe.
You two ever smoke weed?
I've never smoked. So.
No. You ever smoke weed?
Oh, Dr. G is a weed head. What's up, my dude?
Hey,
Dr. G out here toking.
Oh, okay.
I was at Berkeley in the 60s.
Oh,
Come
okay.
on.
Okay, yeah, Dr. G was smoking.
If you don't smoke weed, then you know that, or if you smoke weed, then you know that weed makes you think a lot. It makes you be all in your head. So if you got some
I
problems,
heard it depends on what strain of weed you
It
smoke.
does. It does. Some just
Some
gives your body,
strains make
some
you
gives your
dumb.
body high and just makes you and knock you out. But most of the time though, it does make you focus on your thoughts, which is usually a good thing. If you're a creative person, it helps you helps you think more about that shit. But if you've already got a problem, that shit will, and I've noticed this before. It makes you focus on the problem a lot. You start thinking more and more about the problem. So about the physical aspects of it, I don't know what the physical aspects of depression are, and if that would help, probably the CBD would. But as far as the mental aspect, weed makes you think and focus a lot. And so if you probably got some shit you're dealing with in your mind, and this has happened to me, it made me just focus on that even more. That shit didn't go away. It made me just like, oh, damn.
Okay, so one of the ways in which I think weed is going to be helpful, and and there's negative sides also, because there's a motivational syndrome. I remember years ago, people smoked a lot, had no motivation. They just didn't do anything.
Right.
So the people who are prone to that are they're not going to do much with their life. So that's a real danger.
So you're saying it demotivates as well, or it can?
For the person
can.
who's already on that.
Yeah, now I know some highly motivated people that have been smoking every day
Right.
for 40 years, and they're very
keep it going.
successful.
Yep.
And what it does, it takes the edge off. But here's an interesting thing, an angle that you never thought of. Smoking weed increases awareness.
It does.
And awareness of
Yep.
stuff outside yourself,
Yep.
where you get curious about it, where you notice the taste of something, the color of something. What happens is that lessens depression, because what happens is depression is an absence of awareness of the outside world. You're just stuck in your head. So the fact that you can just notice and be curious about something, there's something about the act of being aware and curious about things outside yourself that takes you out of depression, because the problem with depression is you can't break how overly aware you are of
the
those
problem.
things, feeling helpless, hopeless, powerless, and all those things.
So, Dr. G, black people been living. We've been living. I'm not saying black people don't commit suicide.
Right.
But I think black people in America have been living in general with post-traumatic slave disorder. We have been living with a type of depression,
Oppression.
depression, suppression,
Right. All depressions.
and all depressions is on deck in the black community.
Shit.
Poverty, illness,
Yep.
lack of education.
Yep.
But even with that, as a group, we somehow create the new
I was about to
dances.
say niggas still nay-naying and shit.
We create the slang. We create anything that's hip, anything that's popular. We create hip hop. We create house. We create everything. Jazz.
Melanin.
So my question is, it takes us back to the original setup of all the different stories. There's a little girl riding around in a fucking dog kennel.
Cage.
There's police officers who have been conditioned to be so frightened of the sight of a black man that going for your gun before understanding anything about the context of the situation is normal.
Right.
It's normal, and you're going to get off. And we're going to see concomitant video, right, of white people with weapons being talked down.
Right.
There's a new story out right now. There's a new story out right now. A family beat up some police, and they white,
Of course.
and they were subdued. So again, when we talk about depression, and I'm glad, let me just say this, man. I'm sad for the loss of Anthony Bourdain.
Yes.
Special spirit.
Right.
If you know anything about spirit, if you know anything about soul,
Yeah. He's
that's a special spirit. So fuck what you're going through, because sometimes people will go on some racist bullshit.
So much so that he felt guilt when he would travel. This is one of the reasons he was depressed. He would say that he felt so guilty that he had such a great life. Like he would travel 250 days out of the year, which
Right.
he felt lonely. But then when he would meet all these people, he was making so much money. He had such this great life, and he would meet all these people who had nothing.
Who have nothing.
Who had nothing. But then would be they had such
Full
spirit.
with love
right, filled
and
with love.
energy.
Right.
Yeah.
And he was like, yo, that sent him, like, he would just go into this place like, yo, because he want to help them. He would want to help them more.
Right.
And couldn't do it. But then was just so surprised at their spirit that even though they were just, they were down and desolate in this place, and they had such a spirit.
Right.
And
See, and the thing that's crazy, I'm going to throw it back to you, Doc. This list of everyday health, everydayhealth.com breaks down what causes depression. They say biochemistry. You can back this up, Doc. Biochemistry, genetics, personality type. They say other illnesses such as cancer, heart disease, stroke, diabetes, Parkinson's disease, and hormonal disorders. But one thing that came very clear to me was difficult life situations. If that's not Black America,
Right, that's
2% of the nation's wealth, 2.6% of the nation's wealth is in the hands of Black people. 90% of the nation's wealth is in the hands of white folk. There's only 3% livable land in America. The rest of it is wilderness, mountains, wilderness, waterways. It's only 2% urban habitat, 3% urban habitat. Black people own less than 1% of the 3 available percent of livable space.
right.
50% of the nation's prison population is Black men.
Yeah.
Los Angeles has the world's largest homeless population. 60% of Skid Row is African American males who only make up 2% of Los Angeles. How you get 60% of the...
Right.
Okay, cool. So difficult life situations lead to depression, which ultimately leads to... And what I'm saying is, we live in a society that has marginalized us so much that depression becomes the background elevator music for our everyday lives.
You don't even hear that shit.
You don't even hear it.
You don't even hear that shit.
Because is it possible, Doc, that a person can be depressed and not know it? Go deeper.
Well, I think Blacks have a lot more adversity. Adversity and difficulty is not the same thing as depression. Remember, we had I forget his name on. He was homeless and he's selling the exercise bags. We had him as a guest.
Yeah,
And
I talk to that guy all the time.
And remember, when you asked him, so what does the word homeless mean to you? And you were waiting for him to say, "Oh, lost." He said, "Family." Remember, he said that?
Yes.
He said, "Family."
He said
we
family.
look out for each other. We look out for the posers who are going to hurt us. So there's really something about the fabric of survival. And let me throw this out and push back. You know, one of the things that often causes depression is profound disappointment in others and yourself. And something that I say is you should only set your expectations as high as you can tolerate the disappointment when they don't happen.
Oof.
And like
That hurt.
my approach to life.
Code white silverback.
Code white silverback.
There's a white silverback loose. Code white silverblack.
No, so I know, and so my approach to life is I have high hopes of everything and zero expectations that anything will ever work out.
But
Let me just say this: is it possible that in the Black community, their expectations are so low? I mean, will I survive? Will I be able to do whatever? That the expectations are so low that the disappointment is not the same as maybe in the white community who has all these crazy expectations, and then, oh my God, I didn't get my way. Oh geez,
But I think we are the opposite. I think we're more resilient.
Absolutely.
I think we're stronger. We just go, well, this shit is fucked up.
Fuck it.
We gonna figure out a way through the fucked up
Figure it
shit.
out. Yep.
Right.
So a lot of times, I mean, look at it this way. Because now you get into entitlement leading to depression. It was supposed to work.
But I want to get back to Anthony Bourdain because I want to mention some things about him.
Yeah, but I think it's the reverse for Black people in general. We take a look at what's happening and then we get aspirational. We get religious. we get, we start believing,
Yep.
nah, fuck that. I'm going to be a millionaire. Despite the social infrastructure that's obviously designed to keep us at a certain level, we still have $1 billion dreams and watch, we going to get together. We going to build an empire. There's still hope even at the end.
I fuck with that.
So when Jeff Brown has a different ideation of hope. Jeff says we don't need hope.
Right.
But I see hope as a type of imagination. And I see imagination as creativity. Right? If I could just hold out hope in a creative space, because I do believe in the concept of whatever the thinker thinks,
There you go.
the prover will prove. As a man thinketh, so is he. Again, people have a misnomer of what that means. They think if I just sit back and believe on some shit, it's
Right.
going to happen.
No.
If you believe and work,
And action.
believe
balance.
and
It's
grind,
mind plus body.
things are going to happen. And they may not happen exactly the way you want them to,
Right.
but they're going to happen in the direction of your thought
Right.
process. Right? So this is how I break it down. Heisenberg has the uncertainty principle, right? Heisenberg figured out, okay, you can't know the momentum and the location of an electron. You can only know one or the other, because now that becomes the uncertainty principle. If I want to know its momentum, can't know its location.
Right.
If I want to know its location, can't know its momentum. You can only know one aspect in terms of measurement of an electron. That's reality.
Yeah.
That is your reality. There is uncertainty built into the framework of living. So you get people who think in black and white that says either this is going to happen or it's not going to happen. It's everything or bust.
Doing the what is the black sheep, this or that?
This or that.
But, I want to share a model that I have for depression that I'm talking about around the country, maybe around the world. Tell me if this fits. And I know it was kind of a white movie, but there was a movie called Gravity with Sandra Bullock and George Clooney.
Yeah.
So what happens is she's an astronaut. Her child dies, and so she runs away from that by becoming an astronaut. She literally runs away into to being an astronaut. And what happens is, my view of how we sometimes fall and we want to die is when we have a goal that we're aiming towards, it orients us. Oh, I'm heading towards that. But suddenly her goal was ripped apart. There's an accident in space. But she could hold on because she was tethered to George Clooney, a Gandalf, a Yoda. And when you're tethered to a mentor or someone, you say, well, I'll make it. And then what happens is he untethers. He says, save yourself. And he cuts her off. And the whole movie, she goes through free fall. So when suddenly the goal, the future you were living into, the future you were counting on is pulled away, when it's suddenly ripped away, you become disoriented. And then that's when you turn inside. And if, what you grew up with was, sort of the right kind of support or belief or the right kind of parenting. When you reach in, athletes reach in and they get heart.
Right.
And they get something. But if as an infant, when you were totally vulnerable and dependent and powerless, if what you were fed was abuse or neglect or shame or anger, take the frickin' nipple, go to sleep, fall asleep, yada, yada, yada. And so you're internalizing that, so your core is rotten.
Wow.
So imagine that your goal, the future you're living into, is torn away.
Right.
And what happens with Sandra Bullock is she reaches in and there's no there to buttress her up. So there's a fascinating part of the movie where she wants to die. She's in the space capsule and she hallucinates George Clooney coming back in. So she creates in him exactly what she needs to be kind of playful, firm, protective, loving, guiding her, holding her by the hand. And that's the turning point. Now, I like that movie because for 25 years as a suicide specialist, I was George Clooney. And one of the things when I asked suicidal patients, what's helped? And one of the things they said, you're the only person I put a smile on. To the rest of the world, they're either afraid of me or they're burdened by me, and they won't admit it. Oh, you're not a burden. But I know I am, and that's why everyone would be better off without me. And so when I would see people, I wouldn't be stern, wondering, did you follow your the homework? Did you do something? There would be this smile where I'd see their eyes and it would be like, boy, am I glad to see you. And they said nobody in their life enjoyed seeing them. And I was this oasis. And I'll tell you, when you are there enjoying someone for who they are, not what they did, not whether they took their meds or not, what happens is hope springs eternal.
Yes.
Built on that connection of not being alone in hell.
But Doc and Kev, can we truly acknowledge the insanity of the society that we are all a product of? It's if the culture you were born into is mentally ill, how can you avoid not being mentally ill? We live in a transactional society. You get what I'm saying? We live in an outcome-based society. What is relationship happiness built on? It's built on and based on outcomes.
Okay, so I'm letting I'm letting other people, I'm letting the world take on the structural things, which we need to do. But one of my personal missions is healing the world one conversation at a time.
Right.
And if you're listening to this, watching this, here's your homework assignment, even the people in the studio. What I'd like you to do, if you could do it once a day, it would change your life. But what I'd like you to do once a week is someone in your life, when you're having a conversation with them, look into their eyes and look only searching for the hurt, fear, anger, pain, guilt, and shame.
Wow.
And they're going to say, what are you looking at? You could say, well, I just sort of, I just put I stopped listening to what we're talking about and I was looking for this and I think I'm seeing it. Mm-hmm. So which of those is close to the surface? Wow. And they will take a double take because you've invited them to an intimacy that they don't have in their life because they're all alone.
Right.
And they'll say, really? And then they'll say whatever it is, it's shame. And then if you ask them, how bad does it get? Tell me when it was at its worst. How alone do you feel in that? And what happens is you keep your eye on the ball. You keep your eye on the hemorrhaging soul. And what'll happen is they just start to cry. They'll cave in because you've given them the relief from all the unpairing with a soul-to-soul thing. And I think people could do this on a one-on-one basis, and it will change the world. Now, I'm saying we got to change the structure.
You're saying some heavy shit right now, Doc. And I'm going to tell you why it's heavy. You're basically saying we can't do it alone. We need that empathetic, sympathetic mirror.
We need the other strand of DNA. Wow. And DNA doesn't mirror us. It's synergistically together. It's reciprocal. Those two strands are not exactly the same, but they fit together and make a whole, and they're at the core of life.
Wow. And
you strip that away, and the world falls through the cracks, and humanity is hemorrhaging. But if you can look for that, to be honest, sometimes I get a little crazy when I look into people's eyes and I listen to that and they start talking. The other day, I visualized that I was looking at a strand of DNA, literally, that was sort of bleeding and it was like waving in the universe. It's about to collapse. And I just envisioned that at the core of all their hurt, pain, and whatever. And what happened is I could picture it just sort of lining up, ready to greet me. And I wasn't telling them anything. I was just saying, come on, drain the pus and then the blood will happen. And my approach to depressed and suicidal people is I go in there, help them feel less alone, keep an empathic drain in there, and they granulate in with hope.
No. Slow it down.
Well, the way a physical wound, what you have to do is you have to go in there, clean it out, to make sure you don't have an abscess. You leave a drain in, and the body wants to heal from the inside out. It granulates in.
There we go.
So my approach to people who are feeling despair, unpaired with every reason to live, is to get there, help them feel less alone, help them feel felt. My book, Just Listen, by the way, is about how to help other people feel felt. Much different than feeling understood. You stay there, they feel less alone.
Right.
It's clean, and then I leave an empathic drain there, and I say, I'm just going to keep you company there because you shouldn't be alone in hell at 3 a.m.
Wow.
And, and if you want to, and if you think we should try something, you suggest it, but I can't let you be alone there.
Doc, I need you to break this down for me real quick. You once talked about being able to look at a person and stay connected, and then they kind of break open. And you were like, a lot of people can get you to the point where you break open, or get the person to the point where they break open, but not everybody is able to kind of withstand what comes at them when the person kind of opens up and lets it all out. Is there a way, because you used to talk about looking into the left eye. Mm-hmm. Can you explain the process? Because, some people, I believe some family members will try to help you and then ultimately hurt you because they're not ready to deal with what happens when you open up.
Okay, so I've developed a whole program, and there's something that I call the distress log. Mm-hmm. And it's like a journal. I have a journal. And what the distress log is, see, when you're under stress, you can still stay focused on your goals. But when it gets too much and you become distressed, you focus on relieving it. That's when you take drugs. That's when you do whatever to relieve it. That's when autistic kids will start hitting themselves in the head to make it go away. So what the distress log is, and it's a special journal, don't write anything else in it. What I have people do is put a picture in the inside cover of someone who cares about them and loves them, no matter what, whoever that is, living or dying. And then every time you feel distressed, you write down the date and the time, and imagine that person saying to you, what just happened? And you write down, like a paragraph, and then they say, what did you think when that happened? And you write that down. What did you feel when that happened? You write that down. And then imagine they're saying, what does it make you want to do? And that's your impulse, which could be really self-destructive. So imagine you're saying, well, it makes me want to give up, makes me want to quit, makes me want to get divorced, makes me want to, go out and steal something.
Right.
But imagine they're looking at you from that picture on that front cover, and then they hear you out, and then imagine they smile at you and say, what would be a better thing to do?
Wow.
And then you keep this log. And basically, this is something parents should be doing with their kids. It's not a solution. What you're doing is you believe that if they can talk it through, and by the way, it's a way of leading people from their most primitive brain to their thinking brain, but they have to get past that impulse. So what was that impulse? And that's the key. That's the tipping point inside their mind, because otherwise, when they start acting up, you could say, oh, it'll be okay. Oh, go in your room. Wow. I'll share a story that I'm sure my oldest daughter can't remember this, but
you gonna put her out there?
Okay.
So listen to this.
Code white silverback.
We're gonna have, what's your name?
Oversharing.
What?
White silverback is about to overshare.
So we're gonna get hit with someone crying in the room, and it ain't the black people. Okay, now nothing against that. So go along with this.
Code white silverback. The whiteness is loose.
So imagine this. So my oldest daughter, who's now 36, but when she was about 6 years old, we were having our third child, and she had trouble sharing her mother every time, her mom needed to feed the kids. And so to appreciate this, you have to realize that my oldest daughter is a firstborn, I'm a thirdborn, and my wife's a secondborn. So she's the only firstborn in the family. And so she wants her mom's attention. She's 6 years old. I want to see mom. And she's using swear words, which I can only tell you she picked up from her mother. And she's yelling. And normally I'd say, you better take a time out. You better get a hold of yourself. So she's just screaming. But I realized there's something else going on. And I said, what's going on? What's going on? I did this for about 5 minutes. And at one point when she realized I wasn't going to go away, she looked at me and she said, I was the first to be born, I'll be the first to die. She was the only one in the family who understood that. When you say kids, they're worried about grandparents dying. And then what happened is she ran across the room, jumped up on this coffee table in front of me, threw her arms around my neck, started crying and said, Daddy, keep talking. And I remember I looked up at the ceiling, I said, ma'am, thank you. If I had just said, you go to your room, young lady, and you live with that terror. You live with that terror, and you better behave yourself. But can you follow what I'm saying? That was
right.
That changed everything. And that's what we need to do. And we're able to sort of do that. But can you see how that's much more solid than being shamed
Right.
for being terrorized with a terror that she was the only one who could understand?
Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the So What Morning Show. Dr. G, Dr. Mark Goulston, a.k.a. Whitey Locks, a.k.a. White Silverback, in the building right now, talking about depression, talking about Anthony Bourdain. There was another young lady who...
Kate Spade?
Kate Spade, the fashion designer. Listen, we're talking about this stuff today, man, because it's a fact of life in American culture that it happens a lot. It's starting to spike, especially with men in America. You know, suicide rates are starting to go up. So we need to talk about it. We need to deal with mental illness. And that's one of the issues that African Americans do not deal with for the most part. Mental illness. It's a lot of shit that we don't deal with. We're not going to the doctor regularly. We're not doing a lot of shit.
That crazy cousin hidden in the family.
Crazy cousins hidden. You see the crazy cousin at Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
but a lot of stuff we don't deal with because we've been taught to take it. Like, resilience is part of our definition. It's part of who we are. We have to be strong. If you don't be scared. You can't be scared.
How much of the inner city experience for a lot of youth, especially in the tough inner city, how much of it? Well, I don't imagine I'm going to live to be more than 30, 40. I hear shots every day, so why not do what's immediately gratifying? Don't give me long-term gratification. I mean, I just want to...
But see, Doc, I see where you're going with this angle. And this angle is predicated, in my opinion, on mentorship in the inner city. Where there is a lack of mentorship, there will be an increase in illegal hustle.
That's true.
And you get what I'm saying?
Right.
So
the thing for me, as far as the mental health aspect of it, a lot of the coping systems that have been set in place are more for Caucasian people, and so
say more about that.
Melanated people, they look at that shit, nigga, that shit for white folks. I ain't doing
that shit for white people.
I ain't doing that shit.
Therapy? Are you stupid?
Exactly.
Laying on somebody's couch, nigga. I got to pay this goddamn cable bill. What the fuck is you talking about?
And so
this is a whole waste of my goddamn time.
That's exactly it.
Fuck is going on?
That shit is for white folks, and that's where
I gotta pick up Ram Keisha.
Nigga, and I ain't going to no goddamn psychiatrist, nigga. You digging in
stupid
my
as hell.
Right. So there's a negative stereotype on that for black people, for melanated people, where they don't and they don't feel like they need to be dissected and broken down. Nigga, the shit that I got to deal with, everybody got to deal with.
Nigga, don't nobody in my family be asking me these kind of questions. Fuck you mean I'm gonna answer these questions? Who the fuck is you? You gonna ask me how many sex partners I got? What the fuck is wrong with you?
Niggas do not want to answer questions like that.
Okay, so you're both talking about something. Here's another point I want to make. There's a difference between venting and expressing what you feel. So venting gives you immediate relief, but it doesn't really make you feel better in the long run. But if what you're living for is immediate relief because you're just trying to survive, I can understand that. But when you express what you feel underneath it all, there's research, especially at UCLA by a guy named Matt Lieberman, that says when you express the feeling underneath the reaction, it lowers amygdala activation by 1/3. And
so explain amygdala,
right?
The portion of the brain that...
Okay, so in our brain, if you can think, there's 3 brains. There's a human brain, that's our thinking brain. There's a middle emotional brain. And in our lowest brain is our primitive reptile fight or flight brain.
Right.
In our middle emotional brain, there's something called the amygdala. And the amygdala is like the point guard. And what happens is when it gets overloaded, it hijacks us so we can't think, and it throws us into fight or flight.
Right. So this is frontal lobe hijack.
Yeah, it hijacks us from our frontal lobe, so we can't think. We can't think of what would be a better way through this.
It's reaction response.
Yeah, and when you get people though to express the feeling underneath the venting, that's what lowers the amygdala activation, and they're able to think. So venting doesn't help people think better. They vent and then they get exhausted. And when they're exhausted, maybe they won't do something destructive because they're exhausted, but it doesn't really get them better. So what does that look like? So the venting is, so let's say you're in a relationship and you're the relationship, guru with your book, and someone sort of says, oh, you're an asshole and blah, 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 you know, and, you know, I think we should break up. And if you look at them and say, I know you feel that way, but why don't you tell me when I most disappointed you and what was that like? Why don't you tell me when you said to yourself, he does that again, it's all over because I broke something in you. And you get your partner to say that, they will start crying with relief. Do you follow me? Because they're expressing the pus at the bottom of the
your wound,
the abscess.
Yeah, the abscess
of the lost relationship you once had.
Jesus.
What do you want to say about Dr. Bourdain? Oh, I mean, Anthony Bourdain.
And this is where I relate.
Thanks for getting him back on. He's old.
This is where I relate a little bit to Anthony Bourdain. And why we loved Anthony is because he was incredibly curious about other people. Rather than being a know-it-all, he was a learn-it-all. And the reason he was a learn-it-all is because at his core, he was a single strand of DNA going out in the world, being curious about other people. But the point is, no one was really curious about him. So there was a part of him that felt alone in that, even though he made other people feel less alone, because what would happen is his deep curiosity in them, his looking at them, enjoying them, making them feel valuable and like somebody's. You know, one of the greatest gifts that a somebody can do in the world is you can rescue a nobody from invisibility by paying attention to them and smiling. And that's what he did over
Doc,
and over.
man, this is so powerful, man, because this is all relationship. What Doc is articulating here ever so, effectively is relationship, the ability to relate. See, relationship and relating, that is intimacy. And we live in a world, in my opinion, that lacks intimacy. When we think intimacy, we automatically think sexual. But being able to see a person as they are without judgment and with acceptance is a form of intimacy. That's, wow, that person saw me. Because you spoke of invisibility, Doc. To be seen and accepted without judgment.
That's the definition of respect, is to acknowledge.
Oh my God.
Literally, that's the definition of respect.
So again, let's peel this onion back. In America, in our culture, in a capitalist society, we don't respect the person, we respect what they've accumulated.
Or what they've done.
Yeah,
or what they've done.
Look at
right?
that Maybach, nigga.
Right? It's not a quality of, I can see the quality of this person's soul.
Right.
Like we talked about Anthony Bourdain's soul.
Yes.
It's rare for people to be able to see the soul and go, wow, look at that soul. That soul is shining. Go ahead, Doc.
Some years ago, I was seeing a high-achieving woman who, wasn't happy inside. And she was pedal to the metal. And I remember saying to her, I just figured out what you're most afraid of. And she said, what? And I said, it's not criticism. It's not being judged. It's not being rejected. You don't like those, but you know how to deal with them. And she looked at me and said, so what am I afraid of? And I looked at her again with that eye, looking into her eyes. And I said, what you're really afraid of is being unconditionally, emotionally safe and loved. And there's nothing you can do to earn it. And there's nothing you can do to lose it. And she looked at it and her head flipped back. And she said, I don't know what you just did. And then she just broke down crying and collapsed on the couch for about 5 minutes. She says, I don't know what you just hit. And when she got up, she looked at me and she said, I've been looking for that all my life. And everything I do to achieve it takes me away from it.
Well, see, this goes back to my point about trust. To me, trust infers fear. Because you're always seeking it. Instead of finding the trust within oneself, I trust me. I trust what I'm about. I trust what I believe. I know what my truth is. I'm in love with me. I appreciate me. This is why in a lot of my coaching, I give out the Schiraldi book, the self-esteem workbook. Let's do that workbook first. Because you can't go into a relationship seeking someone to appreciate you if you yourself don't appreciate self.
That's right.
So that workbook puts you in the positionality to say, hey, it's me. I love me.
See, I have to take issue with that because for so long I felt less than other men because at my core I'm not an I. At my core I'm a we.
Right.
I'm a little bit like Anthony Bourdain, and I can go dark too. I mean,
We know, Doc. We've seen it.
Well, I'm in a dark studio. What do you want from me? But anyway,
Jesus.
Emotional Pisces.
there you go. But
Code white silverback.
But what it is I thought that I was less than other people because at my core I'm a we. I don't want to do anything on my own. I want to build something with people who are my brothers.
Right.
And together we'll do that, that we are in this. So I can't give myself positive statements and believe them, but I can think of the 6 dead mentors who believed in me and loved me and enjoyed me. So I can't say, you're okay on the show, Mark. They'll say, Mark, put a sock in it. You were yourself. You're tangential. You're a little bit off the wall, but you were okay. And I can picture all those people saying you did good, which I can't say to myself about the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Dr. Mark Goulston. He has a scary name. Thriller. The Thriller. Anyway, I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Zoe Williams, the Zoe What Morning Show was on fire today. We got to wrap it up. We're a minute over, man. This was a great topic. Thank you, Dr. G, for coming in and talking about depression. Go get Just Listen on Amazon.com. Dr. G's great book, Just Listen, man. An incredible work. Also, go get the Relationship Dismount, How to Stick the Landing When Exiting a Toxic Relationship on Amazon.com, paperback version. Get Kevin's The Great Book of Melanin Research, Part 1. Where?
Just go to the Real Nagas YouTube channel and click on the Melanin Book video, and it'll tell you where to get
Can I
it.
say something real quick? 20 seconds? Yeah, go to @MarkGoulston at Twitter, MarkGoulston. My top tweet is a suicide community where people are sharing all the people that killed themselves. Has 860,000 impressions, 700 comments of people just sharing the pain.
There it is. We got to go. We appreciate you guys. See you guys.